I'm not sure. That's under participants. One to the New Jersey Student Climate Challenge Teacher Information Session. Even though we have some students here, we are also very happy to have you. I did want to take a minute to ask you guys, where are you coming from? So we have 11 people. So if you wanted to just put it in the chat, where are you guys coming from? And let us know maybe even where you learned about the Student Climate Challenge. So I am Rosalie Murillo. I am a program manager here at Sustainable Jersey. I work with school content and special projects and, mainly the Student Climate Challenge, which is one of my favorite things here at Sustainable Jersey. Here joining me is also my supervisor and one of deputy director, Renee.
Hi,
Renee.
welcome.
Okay. Isla? Yeah, she can come.
Isla.
So Renee Hayter. So Renee, if you wanted to say a little bit more about anything.
I'm Renee Hayter. I'm the deputy director, and we've been running the Student Climate Challenge. This is the 4th year, and we're really excited to kick it off again this year.
Great. So based off of the chat, we have Leona High School, we have Upper Township, Cape May County, and we have a lot of Fort Lee High School. Woo woo. I love Fort Lee, by the way. I have some family up there, so it's always great to visit. So welcome. So we're gonna get into the session. So yeah, next we have Renee with this. I should have pulled this up when I was introducing ourselves. So Renee Hayter, and this is our contact information. And feel free if you want to have that information again, we can give it to you at the end. So just for the agenda today, we're gonna do an overview of the climate challenge. We're gonna review submissions for the evaluation rubric. We're gonna highlight resources and any additional questions or ideas or requests. We'll have some time at the end to talk about those things. So first things first, let's talk about the climate challenge. So here's the rundown of the program and things that you really need to know. So first things first, it is completely free to register and to participate in the New Jersey Student Climate Challenge, but it's specifically meant for grades 6 through 12. So if you are in middle school and high school, this is the project for you, the challenge for you. Teachers must register their class or their clubs to participate. So students are not able to register themselves. It has to be a teacher that registers the students for them. And in this entire project is under the teacher's mentorship and supervision. Teams of 2 to 12 students will complete a school community project or a school or community project that addresses a cause or impact of climate change. So when I say teachers mentorship, the reason why we mention that is it is the student-led project. So this is not a project that teachers are going to be in the forefront helping students. They can help and facilitate, and that's the main idea, because this is something that students are supposed to be leaving on their own, and teachers are just meant to be there as a mentorship and a guide and a facilitator. So each team creates a digital story video about their project, and they complete the challenge submission form by April 10th. That is the due date. So we'll talk a little bit more about what a digital story is. I'm sure many of the students are familiar with that, but it's mainly just review, like guiding us through understanding what your project looks like. So looking at the journey and the process of your project. So first, second, and third place middle school and high school winners are recognized at an award ceremony hosted by First Lady Tammy Murphy, which will happen around the beginning of June. And the school winners will receive grants to advance their climate education initiatives that range from $3,500 to $500, which the money increased this year. So that's very exciting. So, there's authentic learning opportunities with participating in this challenge, both for teachers and for students. So as you're aware that you can connect to units of studies or club activities. If you're an environmental club, this is a great project for you because you're already talking about environmental initiatives and sustainability, and this connects directly to that. Same thing with the units of study. If there's certain units within the classroom that you're teaching, as many of you are aware, we do have the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for climate change education. This is a great way to make those connections inside the classroom as well, and make it more fun, right? If you're unsure about how to approach climate change education in the classroom, this is a great way to start that. So there's always teaching and learning about climate change that connects to social studies, math, literature, language arts. There's great opportunities for interdisciplinary lessons and projects that connect with this project. So this year we wanted to announce that there is an award. There is a slight change to the award. We are adding an award for South Jersey schools. So there are two award categories. The contest rules and entry submissions are the same for both categories. So first we have the New Jersey Climate Challenge Award, which is eligible for students from public high schools and for high school and middle schools in New Jersey, but not in South Jersey. Is that correct, Renee? Right. I'm just
It's
making sure.
not, it's the Atlantic City Electric territory. So Atlantic City Electric is funding the climate challenge. So they wanted to add a separate award for students in their actual service territory. So it benefits both groups because the competition will be less in the statewide contest. And then if you're in ACE territory, Atlantic City Electric territory, that's only about 20% of the population of the state. So the chances of being a finalist are much higher because the competition would be less,
Right.
theoretically. Mhm.
So it increases your chances of winning for sure. So that's a great opportunity. So if you are in South Jersey or in ACE territory, you will be eligible for the ACE Student Climate Challenge Award, and any other districts or counties will be eligible for the New Jersey Climate Challenge Award. And the money is the same. Okay, so it's not like one is more than the other. All right, so eligible projects that you can submit for. So it can be a school or community-based project, or it can be both. I know there has been submissions before where it starts in the school and educating students, and then they bring it out to the community. So it's really up to you how creative and how impactful you want to be. You can choose one or the other, or like I said, both. But one thing that is necessary is that the outcome is tangible, right? It can't be something that you plan for but never initiate. So it can be a physical change to the environment, like let's say you are, creating a garden, or you're planting trees. It's you could be changing your environment, or it can be anything else like that. The reduction in climate change causing factor, increasing awareness of climate change and a need for behavioral changes, like campaigning or civic engagement and advocacies. There's been students that have spoken to the Board of Ed or has been to City Council to create climate action projects. Any of those things would be eligible as a project, and any type of research or funding proposals. So we'll talk a little bit more about grants that are available for students to work on their climate action initiatives. That can also be used as an eligible project, applying for grants for a project that they're putting together. Okay, so now I'm going to have Renee Hayter talk a little bit more about connections to climate change.
So one of the big things, obviously, that the review committee is looking for is that the students understand and the project reflects addressing a cause or impact of climate change. So the causes of climate change, the impact of the causes of climate change are increased concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere that come from a variety of sources: transportation, home heating, the decomposition in of waste in garbage dumps. And then and that causes climate change. And then, these kind of human activity increases the concentrations in the environment, and that causes the temperatures to rise, and then we have negative impacts because of the rising temperatures. So students can choose to do a project that addresses the causes, meaning ways to decrease greenhouse gas emissions, or they can choose to do a project that's a mitigation project, where the goal is to address the negative impacts, to kind of soften the blow of those impacts. So, for example, one of the causes of climate change is more severe weather and more extreme weather. And flooding, especially in New Jersey, has become a big issue. So projects that address adaptation to the changing weather by implementing green infrastructure, planting trees, other things like that. So really, the kind of brainstorming process for students looking to come up with project ideas should really focus on what is the project, what is the solution that we're pursuing with this project. Reducing greenhouse gases emissions in a variety of ways. Like, some students in the past did meatless Mondays because of the emissions caused by beef production and the transportation. Some people did like buy local campaigns, again, because if people are buying local, they're not traveling far to get their groceries, but they're also not buying groceries that traveled from Chile or wherever, and increased greenhouse gas emissions. And then, like, again, mitigation, like things that address what the consequences of climate change are. The next slide. Do you want to go to the next slide? The next slide gives a little bit more detail. So as I mentioned, fossil fuel use for energy or heat, transportation, deforestation increases greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, because the trees that are being cut down have been capturing carbon in the atmosphere and not releasing it to increase the greenhouse gases. Agricultural production and consumption, and then different industries like cement and plastic productions also impact the cost. It's not the plastic being thrown out as much as it's the plastic, the creation of the plastic and the transportation of the plastic to in the process. So we did have in the past some projects that really focused on like reducing single-use plastics, which is fine, but the students really need to understand how that impacts climate change. And it's not just that it's like garbage that you want to collect garbage to clean up and make it look more beautiful. It's kind of all the greenhouse gas emissions involved in the production of the plastics to begin with. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. And then getting into like temperature rising and changing habitats, doing things like protecting habitats for threatened species. We have droughts and heat waves. Increasing water conservation efforts would also help mitigate or help us adapt to the changing climate. And then obviously sea level rise is an important issue in New Jersey, and so doing things to like protect wetlands, dune plantings that help protect the shorelines, things like that. I'm going to go to the next slide. There's a really good resource that DEP came out with, which talks about, does a real good summary of the impacts of climate change in New Jersey, like why is it happening and what the impacts are. Again, from that, the creating the problem and then solutions to address the impacts of the problem. So even for middle and high schoolers, there could be sections of this report that would be helpful for the students to review so that they can kind of understand and articulate the connection of the connections of their project to climate change. And we have this in the resources guide, which we'll show later, our resource Google Drive. Next one.
Yep. Okay, so digital storytelling. So we talked a little bit about digital storytelling and what that is. Many students are very familiar on how to make a digital story, being that we're in the generation of TikTok, and many of the students already know about editing and things like that. But just to kind of have a little review, like what sets a digital story apart from other videos? Engagement, making sure that the narrative is clear and just that it's complete. So we have a couple of things. So the 3 C's of digital storytelling. So we connect on an emotional level with people and events in the story, and we connect them to the experiences of our lives. So is there a connection that's being made in your story to your audience? And are they understanding the message and the story and the narrative that you're presenting to them? And then do the stories communicate our perspective and perception? So making sure that that message is clear, that what you are trying to present is what your audience is understanding. And then stories are collaborative. So the effort of the story's characters, their actions, and their point of view, that it all kind of connects together, that there's no holes in the narratives in the story, there's not big questions at the end of the story that you're trying to present, making sure that it is well constructed, but also, like I said, creative and engaging is really important as well. So the way that we assess your stories and the overall project, here is our rubric. So we have it broken down into the video criteria and then the written component criteria. So there is some writing that is necessary for this project. So the first criteria is the creative elements. So we're looking at and I'm only going to look at the 16 to 20 because we're not trying to go down here, right? We're not trying to get to the 0 to 5. So digital story is creative and engages the audience effectively with a clear message, which is what we just spoke about in the last slide. The core science ideas, it clearly addresses the relationship between human impact and climate change. That is 100% necessary for your project. The cause and the effect are accurately described and supported by evidence, and the digital story demonstrates innovative, practical, and easily implemented solutions. So in the written component, there is a portion where you give a short rationale of your project. So it needs to clearly provide a detailed summary of your project and connect it to climate change using the appropriate scientific evidence. So it is going to require some research for you and to demonstrate that you have done your research in developing your project. And team reflections. And I think this is a really great and important, it's almost like self-assessment and thinking having your students offer their thoughtful reactions to show how their knowledge of climate change has deepened or point out any obstacles that they faced, how they tackled them, and provide specific examples on how they would have approached the project differently. And this is a great chance to also have students think about the anticipation for the plan for the project next year, right? Because we really hope that you all come back. It's a great project. So let's look at some examples. So we have 2 examples here. So Bug Power from Princeton High School, and we have a middle school example. So Carbon Catchers, Howell Middle School South, Howell Township. So I am going to let's start with middle school, and I already have it open, so I'm gonna share my screen. 1 second. Okay, I'm hoping that we can hear. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Can you hear it?
That's the middle school one.
Yes, can you hear it?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so here's the example of Howell Middle School. I'm going to start with Howell Middle School because for Princeton, we do have the Princeton teacher here, and then afterwards you can ask him some questions. But wanted to show you an example of the middle school.
I don't hear the video sound though.
So you don't hear the video?
No.
Give me 2 seconds. This is something I had to do for NJEA. There was
You have to, when you're sharing it, you have to
There's like
optimize
a
it for video, optimize it.
right. Sharing it. So I,
Stop
what
the
do you,
share.
okay, stop to share.
Yeah, and then hit share, but before you hit share screen, and it should come up with
I found it. Yes, got it. We're there.
School South wanting to make a difference. After noticing an issue with
Did you hear it before?
yes, it was fine.
climate change, we knew a change was due.
If temperatures keep rising the way they are, the oceans will rise 18 to 48 inches in the next century. While that isn't going to be in our time period, we want to do as much as we can to make a change for our future people.
Tree planting is one of the simplest and most effective ways of tackling climate change caused by greenhouse gas. As trees grow, they absorb carbon dioxide, a major greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide enters the atmosphere through burning fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas, and oil. We have to use these trees to remove the toxic carbon dioxide being released into the air.
This is a big problem.
But it can be solved through planting trees.
Certain health conditions are triggered by a lack of oxygen. If climate change grows at the same rate it does now, these health problems, heart and lung problems, and even death could be a common issue.
This is why we are planting trees for our school. If us students start making a change now, the future will be brighter for everyone. To find out what kind of trees we could plant at our school, we tested our soil to see what types of trees could thrive.
I found out that our soil was acidic and sandy by doing tests on it. These conditions we need a hardy tree to be able to thrive in, but not something invasive. We also needed a tree that was good for the environment and found a perfect match.
Oak trees. Oak trees are hardy and strong and can live for many years under harsh environments. They need acidic soil to thrive and can live in sandy soil as well. Oak trees can also sequester huge amounts of CO2 when they grow to be larger trees.
All of this information led us to believe that oak trees were a perfect match from our school, and a generous donation from the Shade Tree Commission made our work possible.
We received a generous donation from the Shade Tree Commission of 50 trees.
We were given 15 willow oak trees, 15 pin oak trees, and 20 blackjack oak trees.
That's $735 worth of trees.
Without the help of the Shade Tree Commission, we wouldn't have been able to achieve our goal of helping our atmosphere.
Wait, how do we know we need more trees?
In the past few years, pollution has been at a high. Despite trying to clean our air for decades, more than 40% of Americans are living in places affected by air pollution. Cutting down on gas use helps with air pollution, but we still have another way to help: planting trees.
Trees catch and store harmful CO2 as they grow and release oxygen into the air. They also help our wildlife because deer, birds, squirrels, and most of all forest animals feed off of and benefit from trees.
Trees are a solution to our problem of air pollution and help the wildlife. They really are eco-heroes. But how do you know the trees can store CO2?
We noticed the massive amounts of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, so we used this carbon sequestration to clear this out of the air to further help our air quality and our atmosphere.
Using a tree calculator, we calculate the amount of carbon that is being stored from these trees over the course of 10 years, 20 years, and 50 years.
Over the next 10 years, one tree will store 0.10 pounds of carbon each year.
Over the course of 20 years, one tree will store 0.70 pounds of carbon each year.
And for 50 years, one tree will store 13 pounds of carbon each year.
Now imagine 50 trees all storing these amounts of carbon.
That means over the next 50 years, our trees will store 650 pounds of carbon.
Our goal as the carbon catchers is to create a healthier environment.
While we know we can't quite change the world just by planting trees, We hope we can have a lasting effect on our community and our environment.
After noticing an issue with greenhouse gases, we had to take initiative.
Planting trees seemed to be the most suitable solution for students our age, so we knew this was necessary to help the New Jersey environment.
So that was just one example. So something I wanted to really point out was that before we move on to the next video is that we had the teacher speak at one of our sessions, and she mentioned how originally that her students, this particular group that won second place in the challenge, a lot of the students were really upset because they came up with this project almost towards the last minute. Their original project was to take selfies with trees and start a social media campaign, and that wasn't really demonstrating action in the same way. So they had to go through the process and really understand like what it means to create a project that makes an impact. And it was almost towards the last minute, and they had to scramble and to do all of this, and they still won. So a lot of the students were like, how did they win? Like, they did everything last minute, but it was a great learning experience for the students, and they were so proud of themselves. And the teacher was also like really amazed about what they were able to come up with in such a short time. So that was that, you know, I just wanted to highlight that like a lot of the projects that students come up with might need some revisions over time, and that's okay. So yeah, so moving on to
Can I just make a couple comments
of
about it
course.
too, just to give people like tips? So that video, it wasn't like produced like as elegantly as some of the other videos, but it made a clear connection between what they were doing and climate change. And they talked about the key factors about why tree planting is important to climate change, what the connection is. And the other thing is they did reach out, and we'll talk a little bit about this more. They did reach out to the Environmental Commission and the Shade Tree Commission for insights and funding to help them actually do the project. And Hal has participated every year in this climate challenge that we've had it. And they've done like GoFundMe pages for some of their projects, or they've been able to get funding from other organizations within the town to support what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to add on to what you were saying, the students actually had to petition to the Shade Tree Commission and like give a proposal, which was a great opportunity for students to learn how to make proposals to, you know, like a nonprofit organization or governmental organizations. So these are all really great tools and learning experiences for the students. So moving on to Power Up with Bugs. And after this, we can have Mark, who is the teacher who led this. Well, no, he didn't lead it. He facilitated, because again, it's student led. And you can ask him any questions, or he can just briefly talk about the benefits of participating in the challenge.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was just moving around a lot. That's why.
Yeah, no, I saw you. No worries.
Oh yeah. Ready?
Yep.
Food waste is the major source of greenhouse gases that more people need to talk about. When leftovers and spoiled produce are buried in landfills, they produce methane, which is 30 times more powerful than carbon dioxide warming the planet. If food waste were a country, it would be the third largest emitter, right behind China and the United States.
Here at Princeton High School, we are turning this trash into treasure. Used coffee grounds, spoiled fruits and vegetables, and uneaten food are fed to hungry black soldier fly larvae, which are known as the world's greatest recyclers. They will break down just about any organic material and use it to build their bodies, which are high in protein and healthy fats.
These fats are very similar to palm oil, which is used in many different products, from foods to cosmetics. Over the past year, we have turned this box oil into soap that cleans grease better than soap made from palm oil and washes away bacteria just as well. Soap made from box oil may help to reduce our dependence on palm oil, which is another source of global warming. Rainforests are cleared to make room for oil palm plantation.
The eggs that we produce here are given to the local community, which also helps to reduce transportation costs. It also saves money because eggs are expensive. One other benefit from this way to feed our chickens is that farmland that would otherwise be dedicated to providing animal feed can be used to grow crops or be rehabilitated into natural areas.
The third part of our project focuses on frass, which is the waste that black soldier fly larvae generate. Yes, it is poop, but the larvae have ways to clear it of dangerous bacteria. In fact, black soldier fly frass does not have any of the strong smells that we can detect in the rotting food that they eat, and it therefore seems to be quite a bit cleaner than compost. This is even true when the black soldier flies are fed yogurt, cheese, and other dairy products, as well as meat that cannot be broken down safely in any other way.
Now, even though the frass contains whatever it is that the black soldier fly larvae didn't want, it still contains a lot of carbon. The frass also contains lots of nutrients and a polymer called chitin, which helps plants become more resistant to fungal disease. When the frass is mixed into the soil, it helps keep carbon out of the atmosphere and provides plants with phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium, and calcium, and improves the soil quality so we can have bigger and better harvests in our garden. As the spring is getting started, we are looking forward to the harvests that our project will provide, while also reducing our carbon footprint.
Let's hear it for black soldier flies.
Okay. Oh, great. So, Mark, would you like to tell us a little bit about, the benefits that, your students had in participating, and maybe a little bit about, maybe the things that you guys ran into that were difficult or anything like that. So
Sure.
just
Actually,
share.
I've been helping a student get it set up for our climate challenge entry for this year. That's why I've been turning off my camera a lot. But I mean, this is kind of been a longer term project in the making, but we had noticed that there were issues with food waste and what to do about that. So it had come up originally as an idea to take food waste and then feed black soldier flies, which are an insect that eat I'm sorry about all the noise now that's coming through. All of a sudden everyone's talking. Actually, one of the emails I just received was from a local organization, a restaurant who wants to actually start giving us food waste. So we're expanding from our original project, which is kind of cool, but then we have to make sure that we have the capacity for it, which has been part of the challenge, especially in the colder months. So we had this idea of doing something with food waste, and I guess it was my daughter had done something with black soldier flies, insects, and I had been interested. I study spiders for one of my master's degrees and stuff, so I'm into bugs, and it turned out a lot of my students were also. These are not the most attractive insects, but they look kind of like wasps. We had a lot of them flying around our school during our first initial attempts to make this happen. As I said when I presented to the state, not something to recommend if you don't already have tenure, because I caused a lot of trouble. Thankfully, people saw that I was, trying to do good, and my students were very much into this project. I work partly with a research program and then partly with a lot of English language learners. And this was a way of, unifying groups on a common goal and a common project, which that for me was the most meaningful part, because there are such divisions at my school as there are probably at any school, but giving everyone a larger chance to make a project come together like this was really satisfying. The fact that we had, flies, wasp-looking flies flying around the halls was able to get us some attention in the community. Not necessarily all negative, but not necessarily all positive either. It was a large undertaking. We have now a outside facility where we're trying to continue with the project. So we've been working on solar panels. So some of the money we got from the climate challenge, we've been working on trying to make it 100% off the grid, solar power to heat it, which has been a challenge, and solar power to light it. But we're getting to the point where I think we can make this a really, I guess, a demo for what's possible in a school environment. Although now that we have this restaurant contacting us, we might have to expand somewhere else. The appeal to it was really, I mean, not only were we doing something to remediate food waste, but we were also making something that, you know, the black soldier fly larvae, we were able to feed. We have a fish project. We were able to feed them the fish. We were able to feed them the chickens. We're getting eggs from the chickens. That's something I've got a little trouble with animal control with how many chickens we have, but they haven't bothered me anymore. So I hope that that will not continue to be an issue. And then we have been also extracting oils from the black soldier flies to make soap, which was our other thing. And actually we have a pretty nice spread of soaps right now. I can show you over here. So that was a whole chemistry component of it. I'm lucky that I don't have administrators who are going to just insist that I teach, you know, for you know, standards. I mean, yeah, we're meeting all kinds of standards with this, but I'm not forced to do, you know, workbooks and worksheets and, you know, lesson plan by lesson plan every day. The same thing about reinforcing just what the curriculum says. I'm allowed to move a little bit outside of the curriculum to do things. And I think that's very important for my work. And that really, for me, keeps me grounded as a teacher, because it makes, for opportunities like this, where students get to see real world applications and actually make real world change, which I mean, they need to feel empowered. Climate change, I'm going to present actually part of this at a global education conference in January. And a lot of the climate stuff is doom and gloom, and you know, when you have like the polar bear on the little ice flow, and you know, they're all dying and everything, there's just, people become hopeless. But if they find ways that they can actually take charge of it, and then also, even more than that, if they can find ways of taking charge of it and potentially making a living out of it. I mean, we have a couple of students who make soap, and they would like to have a business going with that. Then, you know, that's going to be the way to really change the paradigm and really incentivize and motivate students to want to learn about how they can combat climate change and how they can really make a positive impact, while at the same time preparing for a career potentially that will be, you know, a career of the future. So part of, I mean, I won't give away too much, but we have all these very sick looking succulents here. That's a little bit of our project for our entry for this coming year. I won't say any more than that, but one of my students has a very entrepreneurial focus on this, and that's going to be something that I know my supervisors have been very excited about, because it actually gives a real world motivational strategy to why you would want to do something like this, because you could possibly make money out of it. You can make a career out of it. You can, you know, with some of the climate challenge money, we had students connecting solar panels, and that's like growing like 40% a year in terms of like careers. So, you know, these are things that they wouldn't necessarily be exposed to outside of a program, a challenge, you know, a competition like this.
For sure. I think that's you shared so many great things, but you know, the things that popped out to me the most was like unifying your students, right? And the different groups of your students, making a real impact that's growing past the challenge, right? Like you said, with the solar panels and how they're continuing the work. So it's not just about you had a fuse lit for your students to kind of keep it going, right? And then the learning continues beyond the project, which is amazing. And you know, I think that really does encompass everything. Like we're trying to, you know, give those opportunities for students, and like you said, with a lot of green jobs and things like that. So yeah, does anybody have any questions for Mark? You guys could just unmute if anything. Just wanted to give you guys that opportunity to ask any questions about anything. Just don't ask him like what his project is, because he's not going to tell you.
After this year, no.
No?
I'll
Okay,
just
great.
Go make ahead. A few other comments on Mark's video. Is one that it was a project that was kind of in motion before the climate challenge came to be for the year, but as long as you're working on the project in this current school year, it could count towards the climate challenge. So if you have an initiative in your school that your students are already doing, if it's currently operational, you can enter that as your climate challenge project. The other thing is, if you visit our website on the climate challenge page, which will give you a QR code at the end, you can view the other videos. Mark's video, his student's video, was very complicated, had a lot of components to it. Not all of the submissions are necessarily as intricate as that one was. So it's really communicating what the project is and how it really addresses climate change, and the students kind of personalizing the story to kind of identify, make it like them feel empowered, and it is a solution and they're enthusiastic about it.
And I also wanted to add, for like the carbon catchers in the middle school, you don't have to completely finish the project before it's submitted, because for example, the carbon catchers, they didn't plant their trees because by the time they had to submit the project, it was still kind of winter time. So you couldn't actually plant the trees. But to show the process as much as possible, and then even anticipate, like, we're going to plant them in June, which is when they actually did plant them, that's fine as well. And then that could be submitted within the written component of your project. Okay. All right, so if we have no questions, we can just continue on with the presentation. So the next thing we have is lessons learned. So Renee?
Yeah, sure. So I've been talking a little bit about this all throughout, but it's important that the submission is actually a project in connection with a unit of study or club activities. And it has to be kind of under the auspices of the school. And it's important, again, that the students focus on that connection to climate change, because that's the specific goal of the contest. So doing the research, like both those examples that we showed you, they made the clear connection between what they were doing and how it's addressing a cause or impact of climate change. There are lots of resources out there within the school or the community that can help, that could possibly help you. Like, for example, like we said, reaching out to the Shade Tree Commission or the Green Team in the town, or other, like some students, worked with the video resources that in their school to help them, shoot the video, and that's fine. And then again, it has to be a specific project. We had a lot of students submit like PSAs, but they never actually showed the PSA anywhere. So like, it's great, educational and outreach campaigns are eligible projects, but they have to talk about like what the project was, what the campaign encompassed, and what kind of reactions they got to it. And then again, telling the story and making it personal, having students reflect on how they feel about it and what they learned from the process, is really something that the review committee, we have an outside review committee that looks for in it, the kind of the personal learning and reflections. That's, any questions about that?
Yeah, I have a question, Renee. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to know, so these projects that the kids pick, they have to be done like in school, or they can be in our community?
No, they can be in the community too.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they're involved in spearheading creating a rain garden at the library or something like that, that's an eligible project.
I have a question.
And one of the projects that won in a previous year was they implemented like a buy local campaign in their community, and so they connected with local businesses in the community, and kind of ran a sale for for them. Like they could order through, they set up a way where people could order through them from local businesses.
Okay.
I have a question.
Austin had a question.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Austin Gray. I'm here with the 21st Century program at Echo City Public Schools. I was wondering, with this grant right here, could design it as a club, and how long, like, would it, you know what I'm saying, what's the deadlines for this?
For submit
Yeah.
so the submission date is April 10th.
Okay, so I can run it before that, correct?
Yeah, you can start now.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
right. I mean, it's going to take some time to do the project, and you can submit it at any time too. The submission form, is
Everything's active.
yeah, is active.
And I'm sorry, is there any way we can share like a description detail of like everything, the requirements and everything?
We are going to provide these slides for you, but also the website has all the details that you need with submission and we have all the resources available for you online as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. We'll share a QR code that will send you straight to the website at the end of the presentation.
Thank you.
Great, no problem. Any other questions? Okay, so moving on, I'm just wanted to walk you through. So we developed this year a climate challenge resource Google Drive, and I'm going to share what that looks like now. And I'm going to walk you through what we prepared for in the drive. And here's what like so when you click on and the link to the Google Drive is on the website. You guys are looking at the drive, right? Okay, so what you would see is there's 3 folders. One is with submission and requirements and forms, brainstorming, planning and implementation, and digital storytelling. So within each of these folders, we have some resources for you. So the first one, which is, the form. So you will have the student release form, the digital story video content student release form. So every student has to fill this out in order to participate because we do use the videos as like promotion and we do put it on our website. So just to make sure that legally that we have that consent. We have the rubric available for you. And, as you can see for teachers, we have some standards showing you what standards are being hit by promoting this program. And, you could give that to your administrators because I know that's really important. We have the quick start guide, which has all the information that we went over today, like how to get involved, why you should get involved, what is a climate action project, and like the qualifications of what your project should look like to be what could look like in order to be eligible, right? And what a climate action project does not look like. So this is a really good, and this is important to really point out to your students because a PSA is great, but it can't stop there. So really just highlighting that. And then again, the resources guide, which is what I'm going through right now of the different folders that are available, and then a contact information if you have any questions.
And the submission, you can get a PDF of the submission form that shows all the questions that are required, the questions that need to be answered on the submission form. So students know ahead of time what the requirements are going to be on the submission form.
So if I click on the submission form, do you guys see that?
I see it, yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to change. So this is what the submission form looks like. You would provide an email, the teacher club. So other teachers have printed it out like Renee has said. So it's part of the students planning process because, oh no, not this. This is for the writing portion, but you can look over all the things that are here. Team members, the high school, you would put up like the spreadsheet of the team members. This is where you would write your rationale. So you don't want to give this to the students right on. So you might want to take the questions ahead of time and have them drafted on their own and then maybe like meet with them and reflect over, if they're hitting all the components. And the same thing with the team reflections. And then any project photos. That's what the registration submission form looks like. And you can find that within the links here, or you can go directly to our website. All right, and on the next one, this is mainly for educators and students if they wanted to kind of guide their planning. So we have different graphic organizers to help students with their planning. So you can think about the different problems, right, that are connected to climate change, and think about the different options that would result to that, and then what solutions will come out of that. So planning is such an important aspect to this project, having a well thought out plan. So we have flow charts. We have here different educational resources. So we have the New Jersey Climate Education Hub, where there's a lot of resources and, teacher lesson plans, as well as like articles and different things that students can read. So just a plethora of information for students and for teachers, and different organizations throughout New Jersey that are nonprofits that can work with you as well.
Or have resources or guidance documents, like if your kids decide they want to do a rain garden at the school, you can Google rain gardens and there'll be like 10 different how to build a rain garden resources.
Right. And I want to point out this one in particular, because I did teach like digital stories at some point when I was teaching. And I think that having them planned what their video is supposed to look like is really important. So within the first frame, you want to say, I want to, this is going to be a picture of me, inside like, I'm going to use Mark's example, it started with them inside the greenhouse, right, and sorting through food, and then describing the scene and having the students plan that, because it's going to be so much easier when they finally get their cameras, and having a good idea of what they want to do, so that they can initiate it better. And then editing will be so much better when they have an idea of all of that before actually getting camera. When I used to teach video recording and video production, we would never give students a camera until they had their project planned out this way, right? You were not touching a camera until we saw the shot list. So that again, that's up to you, the way you guys want to do it, but I find that students that have their plans ahead of time, their videos come out way better. And then same thing with the digital storytelling. So we have different resources for digital storytelling. What is it? I have several videos here that you could show to your students. What is digital storytelling? How to make a shot list for film, guide to digital storytelling, all these different things. Examples from the New Jersey Film Festival of students talking about sustainability. And then we have a video editing software. So some of them, most of these are free. But you can also, like CapCut Pro, you can use that. That's free. I think there's probably different versions that you can do, but there is like a basic version that you can use for most of these. And then TikTok also has a really great editing software within it, and most of the kids already know how to use that. So that might be something that you would like to do, and then you could just download the video and submit that before, and you don't have to post a video in order to download it. So, and then we have all the examples of the finalist videos that have won last year. And then we also have different things that you could provide to your students. 6 steps of digital story making. So you don't have to create them. I did it for you. I spent a lot of time working on this stuff. So actually this was a mistake. So delete that. Okay. So we have so many different resources to get you guys started. And that's basically it. Do you guys have any questions about the Google Drive or any of the resources? Maybe anything in there that maybe you would like to see that would be more helpful for you? Just let me know. You could drop it in the chat. If not, we'll move on because we're getting close to that time. So be mindful of time. So like we talked a little bit about the New Jersey Climate Education Hub. There is a link to that within the resources. And Renee, you were going to speak about the Climate Hub.
Yeah. So if you go into the teaching resources and Google like student action projects, there's a couple guides in there that you can do. If you're interested in doing a lesson on a specific topic or showing a video on something, you can search for different videos that you can use. So there's just a lot of resources in there on different topics related to climate change. The other thing that is a big resource, and we didn't really talk about this at the beginning, but our Rosalie and I work on the Sustainable Jersey for Schools program. So this is funded by the Drumthwacket Foundation. And they hired us, Sustainable Jersey, to administer the contest. So you don't have to be participating in New Jersey and Sustainable Jersey to participate in the climate challenge. But our website does have a lot of information about actions that schools can take that would relate to addressing climate change. So can you let me share?
I got it.
You got it. So
Yeah.
great. So there's a whole bunch of things in here that students can do, like promote locally grown foods, school gardens. There's a biodiversity garden that down further. So and in the student in the resources, we mentioned this, but they could look at like the biodiversity project, click on that. And it kind of gives guidance on how, and resources on how to do it. So the students may want to look through the Sustainable Jersey website, and that's free for anybody that wants to access it, and they can download the information on the different actions. And if they have any questions about specific actions, they can always reach out to us and we can help them with that. And if they do that and your school is participating in Sustainable Jersey, then you could get points for your school for the work that the students have done.
These our new actions might be really great for you as well. A campaign to reduce school food waste, food recovery, shared tables and donations, and food service and best practices for food waste, like food waste recycling and composting. So yes, thanks for mentioning that, Renee. I think that's a great point.
So any other questions? We're here to help you. So if you have any questions about, would this be a legitimate project or not? Like, we want to do this, but we're not sure who we should reach out to. We can help you connect with different organizations and give you feedback in terms of what might make something that maybe is not quite there yet as a legitimate project. And the last slide is about our grants program, right?
Hold on, Austin was gonna say something. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was just wondering. So right now, I'm looking into doing like something like a gardener base, just like promoting the wellness of just better choices of food and sustainability with the garden. Right now, we're partnering with Snap Ag. Would that work with them too? Because we're kind of doing like that's kind of the same thing. We're trying to build our garden back up.
I don't really understand the question. Can you repeat it? I mean, you can work with outside partners on the project as long as the students are doing the project.
Okay, so a gardening club would be something that'd be a work.
Yeah, if you have a garden club and you're implementing a garden and the project is about, the impact of how local foods, addresses an impact of climate change, and the fact that drought and food insecurity are one of the kind of potential impacts of climate change, that would be fine.
Okay, perfect.
Great. Okay, so.
And I just wanted to say, for those of you that are participating in the Sustainable Jersey for Schools or might be interested in participating, you just have to be registered to be eligible to apply for a grant. These grants would not be awarded by the time you have to get your project done, but a legitimate project would be students researching researching a project that they might want to do in the school to address climate change, and developing the application and submitting the application to Sustainable Jersey or any other. There's lots of other grants that are out there too, but kind of doing the research and taking the initiative to get it approved by the school to allow them to submit for funding would count as a project.
Great. Awesome. Oh, I skipped one. So register. It's no cost, no obligation. And what we mean by no obligation is like, even if you signed up for the challenge today and something happened and you really just couldn't complete the project, or things happen, we can't hold you to it. Obviously, we're not going to come to your school and say like, you didn't finish your project. That's not going to happen. So please register today. And here is the QR code where you will send you straight to the website where you can register. And also feel free to follow us on social media. We're always kind of announcing different professional development for teachers, as well as like grant cycles. And if you're interested in becoming certified as a school, we'll also announce when those certification cycles open.
Yeah, and the benefit to registering sooner rather than later is that as information, we'll send reminders or updates to information out to you if you're registered. And it also really helps us plan for how many reviewers we're going to need to recruit to review the submission. So it's a help to us too.
Any questions? So if not, that ultimately concludes our, oops, sorry. Do you guys still need the QR code? I'm sorry. I'll leave it up anyway.
And we will be sending out probably by Friday morning a copy of the slide deck and links to the recording.
Great. Well, we did really great on time. I'm pretty proud of us in that sense. So thank you guys all for joining. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to email us. Like Renee said, we will provide you with the slide deck. And yeah, good luck on your projects. And we hope that you register. Oh, wait. We have chat there. No
Thank
problem.
you, Abigail.
Thank you.
No, I was hoping I was hoping my kids would ask questions.
It happens.
I guess they left. Come on, girls. Abigail, Tessa, Henry, Clara. That's my group.
Well, we're here if you have questions as
I know.
they come up.
We'll
Please
talk tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, maybe you guys need to have a moment to like absorb it all. The kids need time to absorb, then they think, and then they come to your questions. And then if you want it, we're here to answer any other
We got to
questions.
digest. It's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Hi, Isla. How you
Hi,
doing?
Renee. Good to see you.
You too.
I'm sorry I missed you with the league.
Yeah. I was upstairs most of the time in all the sessions.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Mark, for joining as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Appreciate
Glad I
it.
was able to get on. Sorry, I couldn't figure out the link to get on.
No worries. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thank you. Have a good
bye-bye.
afternoon. Bye-bye.
Okay.